many plumbers you know making $250,000 a year?
We heard a lot about Joe the Plumber today on the trail, and moments ago, the Al Smith dinner. We've also learned quite a bit on our own. Turns out Joe is not actually a licensed plumber. He admits he's not making anywhere close to $250,000. So in fact, he'd be getting money back under the Obama tax plan. He also owes back taxes, according to local court documents. Clearly, the media has been looking all over this guy. His name is actually not Joe, or at least that's not his first name. His name is Samuel Joseph Wurzelbacher, and he had plenty on his mind today. Take a look.
Social Security is a joke. I like to, I have parents. I don't need another set of parents called the government. Let me take my money and invest it how I please. Social Security, I've never believed in, don't like it. I hate that it's forced on me. As far as for my son, I want him to live in America that he's proud of. I'm tired of people downing America, saying that we're this bad country. I mean, that upsets me and my friends greatly. We are the greatest country in the world. Stop apologizing for it. I mean, really, I get real mad about that. I'm not sorry for being American. I'm not sorry for, having the things I have. I've worked for them. I'm not sorry that, I wish that our borders were closed and that you have to come through in a legal manner. I'm not sorry for any of those things. I'm not sorry that we're in Iraq. I mean, my friends in the military that have come back and told me the thanks that they've received for us being there, that doesn't get enough play.
Joe will soon have his own cable news show. Joining me now, CNN senior political analyst David Gergen, GOP strategist and CNN senior political contributor Ed Rollins, who supports John McCain, and Obama supporter, CNN political analyst Roland Martin. So, David, is McCain benefiting from all the attention that Joe is getting?
Well, I think he was for a while, but when we found out he was Sam the non-plumber, I think it changed a little bit. I'm glad you had to give him a chance to voice his opinions, because he does. I think he does give voice to those of a lot of Americans who don't often get on national television. So I thought that's fine, but I think we're going to move on pretty fast. It does illustrate as well, Anderson. I don't understand why the McCain team didn't vet the guy before they made such a focus on him on national television. I can guarantee you that the George W. Bush campaign, which ran a highly disciplined campaign, would have vetted and would have known before he went out there about his status, his personal status. So you feel a little sorry for him that he got, he put in this position.
Yeah, Roland, we just heard Obama kind of joking about McCain's support for Joe, the non-plumber, sort of the plumber, whatever he is. Does Obama, though, need to be careful? I mean, he warned his own supporters today about being complacent. Does Obama need to be careful about coming off as a little bit kind of dismissive at times?
Well, I think so. I mean, again, the issue is not really this individual guy and his background. It's really what this guy represents. And so I think what Obama has to do is he's not getting caught playing around with Joe, the fake plumber or whatever. But again, stay focused on the big issues. If you saw how he scored well last night, he scored well when he got to health care. I mean, numbers were off the charts when he focused on education. Even when he gave a very strong answer dealing with the Supreme Court, if he stays focused on those issues, not deal with the small issues, he looks larger. He looks more presidential. That's where he has to remain. And again, get his people to the polls. Turnout is key.
Ed, the reaction shots last night, side by side, you saw John McCain often kind of being dismissive of Obama. You saw Obama at times smiling, kind of laughing at some of the things John McCain was saying, kind of shaking his head. How do you think that played out, and how can John McCain have allowed himself to be caught like that?
First of all, let me just give a little advice, unsolicited advice to Joe the Plumber. Get Joe the Plumber on your truck with a 1-800 number and keep your mouth shut and go make a fortune doing plumbing work.
That's right. And get a license to be a plumber and start doing it.
Absolutely. And be a plumber. Do what you do well. John McCain has a disdain for Barack Obama, and it's he's been running for president for 10 years almost, and I think it just shows. He's on the stage with this young guy, and he resents that and it shows. Now, anybody should have given him the strategy that you're on camera the whole entire 90 minutes, never show pain, never show expression, just basically take your notes, pay attention, because I think that was as demeaning. It was almost like Captain Queeg, it was...
Because he was strong for the first 30 minutes or so, David, and then he basically kind of did himself in some respects.
He did, Anderson, and we talked about that last night. He swerved off track, and I think Ed is right. There is a disdain. There must be a lot of pent-up frustration and anger in him, too, because he just seemed to erupt when it got over to the negativity of the campaign. He clearly feels he's been wronged in a variety of ways. That's not the way most Americans see it, but when we heard Cindy McCain the other day saying this has been the sleaziest campaign run against her husband ever, you know, they clearly have convinced themselves that they've been more victimized than the aggressors, and I think it did hurt him last night. I mean, I thought he was on the way to winning the debate. He made his best start of any debate we've seen. Many Republicans woke up today, were encouraged, but I think it cost him the debate in the eyes of voters, so that they went down 3-0 in the debate.
And so he fell for the political rope-a-dope, and that was when Obama threw out. I've never seen Obama do this. When Obama threw out, he won't say it to my face. I was sitting there going, he doesn't do that. He drew McCain in. He knew that his anger was going to take over. And that whole stretch of John Lewis and William Ayers, that's where his numbers begin to slide down. He got off focus. You're absolutely right. He was doing great the first 30 minutes. He got off focus, and Obama stayed consistent.
Let's talk about what happened today on the trail and what's going to be happening in the weeks ahead. Not too many weeks, though. Robocalls. Candy Crowley mentioned it in her piece. Is this just par for the course? I mean, Democrats are up in arms about these RNC robocalls, talking about Bill Ayers.
You know, every campaign, they're one of the underlying bad things about politics, and I have never believed they're effective. But I think the bottom line is this
not effective because what, they alienate as many people as they...
And it's, you know, your sort of robocall is calling someone's answering machine, you know, and no one sits there and listens to the message. I think the critical thing here is John McCain, and where I differ a little bit with Roland, is this campaign is about the economy. And I think the one thing that was missing last night is they didn't devote the real time and energy. No one cares about charter schools today. Nobody cares about the abortion issues. Right now, they're all drowning in the economy. John McCain had an opportunity to take that tax issue and say raising taxes on any Americans at this point in time will deepen this recession. Big spending programs will affect. This is the traditional Democrat, and spreading the wealth around is the old Robin Hood style of taking from the rich, giving to the poor, and that's a traditional Democrat.
Ed, days ago, you had said that you thought this was essentially over for John McCain. Do you see any light for John McCain? I mean, do you...
Well, you know, first of all, the numbers aren't good for him, and certainly nothing happened. I think he gave his best performance, but nothing turned it around. But what I would say for the next 2 weeks, if he goes out and does nothing but hammer away on this, it may close it up a little bit, and who knows?
I disagree with the robocalls. Disagree with the robocalls. New Hampshire, Hillary Clinton's, they targeted female voters in New Hampshire with those issues. That's what got them out. And so they must be careful with that. Again, Obama must combat that and not just say, hey, it's out of bounds. They could be effective in narrowing this race.
Anderson, I just want to add one thing here, and that is, on the overnight tracking polls going into the debate last night, we learned today that John McCain has been edging up a little bit in the last 48 hours or so. I continue to believe this is not yet over, and Obama is right to go out and warn his supporters against complacency.
Does he need to warn his own campaign against that, or do you think there's no signs that the campaign itself is being complacent? Roland, you think they are?
He must warn his campaign. We saw what happened in New Hampshire, but also what took place when they were in Texas, when they were dealing with Ohio and Pennsylvania, how his people sort of laid back, said, oh, why don't she just drop out? They did get complacent. And so turnout is key for him, and so they have to have large black turnout, young voters, those independent voters. They must create the impression that we are still the underdog, no doubt.
I just want to point out that we love all members of the best political team on television equally, but before we go, David, yesterday a writer named Jesse Klein blogged on Tina Brown's new website, The Daily Beast.
I can't believe you're doing this to me.
It was basically a confession of love for you, David Gergen, and I know a lot of people around the world, frankly, agree with this. In part, she wrote, how do I love David Gergen? Let me count the ways. I love his low, quiet voice. You know how Bed Bath & Beyond sells those white noise machines that help you sleep and they usually make ocean noises? I want one that's just David Gergen gently muttering about the economy.
I can't believe that Anderson Cooper groupies are migrating away.
Oh, David, David, there's more. We invited Jesse Klein to tape a personal message to you.
Oh, you did not.
Watch and enjoy.
Hi, David Gergen. I'm Jesse Klein, and I'm the author of an article entitled, I'm in love with David Gergen, because I am. I hope that doesn't make you uncomfortable, because the thing is, there are millions of other people all across the country who, like me, are madly in love with you. So on behalf of all of us, I just wanted to say thank you for being the most objective, intelligent, truthful analyst on television, and for always being super hot and dreamy while you're doing that. Keep on being all adorable and gurgony, and we'll keep on loving you. Anderson, I love you too, but my heart belongs to Gurgen.
Well, David, that means there's hope for us old men.
I can't believe I was